Well, hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. The It Ain't That Bad podcast. I'm Mike, so grab a cup of coffee. Settle in for a few minutes. Today we're going to talk about something very real. My monthly budget on Social Security. Now, before we get into this, let me say something right up front. This is not financial advice. I'm not a millionaire financial guru on YouTube standing in front of a Lamborghini telling you how to retire early at 35. No, I'm just a regular guy getting older, trying to make sense of all this retirement stuff, just like everybody else. I think a lot of seniors are tired of hearing the fantasy retirement stories that don't match real life. You know, millions of Americans, Social Security is not extra income. It is the income, and that's reality. So if you're close to retirement, already retired, or trying to survive on a fixed income, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So today, I thought I'd walk you through what my monthly budget looks like, living primarily on Social Security in 2026. It's not glamorous. It's not luxury retirement. It's just real life. And for me, you know what? It's perfect. Now, everybody's numbers, everybody's different. Where you live matters. Your health definitely matters. And whether your house is paid off matters. Honestly, you know what? Your expectations matter too. Some people think retirement means cruises and traveling the world. For me, I'm just hoping the air conditioner survives another Las Vegas summer. Now, I get around $2,200 a month from Social Security. I also get another $500 to $800 a month from playing gigs. So I'm working with roughly $3,000 a month on average. That sounds decent until the bills start coming in. The first biggest expense for just about all retirees is housing. Now, I'm very lucky. I share a house with a roommate, and that actually covers a few items besides the expenses. You know, this actually came about by accident. You see, when I left my last weekly paycheck job 12 years ago, I had accepted a job in the Las Vegas area. My friend had a house and had lots of room, offered me a place to stay while I found my own place. And you know what? After a couple of months, it was actually working out pretty well. We both had our own space. We had our own bathroom. We share the house, the yard, the kitchen, and the chores. And since it was working, we have been doing it ever since. So, my rent is only $500 a month. We split the utilities, gas, water, electric, internet. So my share of utilities is about $500 a month. That brings us to a total of about $1,000 a month to cover the housing and utilities. So what's next on the list? Cell phone. My cell phone's about $75 a month. Now, here's the one that really hurts. Groceries. Grocery prices seem to be going up every time I walk into the store. But realistically, I spend $400 to $600 a month on groceries. Honestly, eating out, I've never been a big one for eating out, and in today's economy, eating out's become a luxury. Fast food used to be a cheap option. Now you need to get financing if you want to go to McDonald's and get a cheeseburger. So I don't eat out very often. Then there's transportation. I drive a used car, actually a 2014 Jeep Grand Cherokee. It's in great condition, almost looks like new still. It's paid off, so I don't have to worry about a car payment. But I do have to pay for gas, insurance, and maintenance, and registration, of course. Now, driving an older car that's paid off is a really good situation, because this makes the insurance and the registration fees a lot more manageable. My insurance is only about $85 a month, and the registration is only about $150 a year. So my total car expense is about $150 a month, with gas, insurance, and a little bit of maintenance. You know, having a roommate in retirement was never part of the plan, but for me, it happened and it works. You know, I don't think I've heard too much about people having a roommate as a senior, as an option anyways, but it turns out it's a pretty viable option. So, what's the big downfalls in retirement? Debt. Retirement is where debt becomes really dangerous. Retirement and debt do not play well together. A big monthly car payment can wreck a fixed income budget really fast. One thing I've noticed about older folks who retire comfortably, most of them learn how to live below their means, actually before retirement, not after. And you know, that's the key. Retirement doesn't magically fix overspending habits. And then we get to the most dreaded category, healthcare. You know, I've been on Medicare for about 5 years now, and it covers all the big stuff. I have an Advantage plan, but I still have to pay some of the prescription costs, co-pays. I got to pay for dental work. That's mostly not covered under Medicare. Hearing aids and glasses. These are a couple of the things Medicare does not fully cover. This is where your retirement budget can suddenly take off on you. And nobody likes talking about it because it reminds us we're getting older. Aging can be expensive. So after all the basics are covered, what's left? Well, maybe a little money for entertainment, maybe dinner out once in a while, and maybe enough for some hobbies. Actually, my next episode is going to be all about hobbies in retirement. You also really need to have an emergency fund. You never know when something's going to come up, and there's a few things that only come up not very often. And honestly, sometimes you don't need that much more. Now, hearing this can sound depressing if you compare yourself to those retirement commercials with smiling couples walking on the beach in matching white sweaters. But here's something that I've learned. A peaceful retirement is not always an expensive retirement. Some of the happiest retirees I know live very simple lives. They garden, they play music, they pursue their hobbies. Think of Gibbs in the NCIS show. He had his boat in the basement that he was working on all the time, so he could go out on his boat when he retired. A lot of people play music. They get to spend time with their grandkids, and they watch old movies. Sometimes they go fishing, or they just sit on the front porch drinking coffee and talking to neighbors and talking about the world. And honestly, that sounds pretty good to me. I've never really been a big social person myself anyways. People can be pretty annoying sometimes. But you know what? I think one of the biggest adjustments in retirement is psychological. You know, you stop measuring your success by income. You stop chasing promotions. You stop trying to impress people. And eventually you realize peace has value. Now, can you travel on Social Security? Why, yes, you certainly can. I do. But not the travel the world 6 times a year version that retirement ads love to sell. I take road trips, visiting family, little weekend getaways, maybe one nice vacation a year. And you know what? There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. I think social media has distorted people's expectations of retirement just like it distorts everything else. Not everybody wants to backpack through Europe at 72 years old. Some people just want affordable prescriptions and an air fryer that still works. But honestly, that's what you call wisdom. You know, the one thing that does help tremendously in retirement is learning to be content. I know that sounds old-fashioned, but it matters. Because if you compare yourself constantly to others, compare your retirement to somebody else's who's wealthier, you'll never feel secure. There will always be somebody with a bigger RV, a nicer home, a newer truck, a better pension. And you know what? Comparison is exhausting. But here's the encouraging part. You know, people adapt. We always have. Human beings are extremely resilient. We adjust, we simplify, we learn what actually matters. And sometimes retirement strips away a lot of that nonsense that we spent decades chasing. For me, personally, comfortable retirement isn't about luxury, it's about stability. Can I pay my bills? Can I sleep at night? Can I buy groceries without selling a kidney? Can I still play and enjoy music? Enjoy coffee, conversation, and a little bit of peace? You know, that's enough for me. That's all I need. And maybe that's the secret nobody tells you. Retirement is less about being rich. It's more about learning how little you actually need to be content. Well, those are my thoughts for today anyways. If you enjoyed this episode of It Ain't That Bad, hit that like button and subscribe. Then definitely leave me a comment. I would love to hear from you. How are you handling retirement? What's your retirement budget look like in 2026? What surprised you most about living on Social Security? Well, thank you for spending a little time with me today. Take care of yourselves, and remember, it ain't that bad. We'll see you in the next one.